chipmunks.
Oh, stupid. What we're doing is talking to people, part of the family of Nightline and Remember When, about what they're doing over the Christmas holidays, but especially what they've done in the past.
Oh, yeah.
Where were the holidays that took them from Christmas into the New Year and back to school then?
Of course.
A wonderful time, and we counted down the days, didn't we?
Oh, you couldn't wait for Christmas.
And you thought, I reckon 3 weeks will go. Oh, 3 weeks, it'll be half a year.
Yeah.
But it slipped by, and we got up early in the morning, and off we went.
So in the 40s, we went to Sandringham for our Christmas holidays, to a house we rented in Abbott Street.
You make it up that even you went somewhere different. As always has.
You know, there used to be a tram go past the front door from the Sandringham station, and a flying boat taking off from the water, a Qantas flying boat.
So what did you do? Just fill in the...
Okay, collected pebbles and shells mainly. I had a snorkel and flippers. I had a bucket and spade. You know, did all the things that kids do when they're just 7 or 8. Enjoyed sitting on the Sandringham station watching the trains go by, and hopping on the tram, which was like a toast rack, if you can recall those early trams in the war years. And then we moved on to Edithvale a bit later, and had a house right on the beach there.
We'd go to Adelaide when I was a little boy in the Pontiac or the Plymouth.
Yes.
Or up to Sydney. There's relatives and cousins all up there. We used to hire a house.
Now, that would have been tough in those days before there was air conditioning in cars.
Oh, hot as Hanover.
Yeah.
I think the only thing we ever had was that... I think they had those fans. You know, those little fans on the...
Personal fans?
On the dashboard?
Yeah, or you could hold one, couldn't you, battery operated?
Yeah, or he'd let the air in, but it was so, if you're going up through the little desert, it was hot as Hanover. It was like a heater.
And in those days, it wasn't unusual for the radiator to boil over often.
Because of that, he'd have a Hessian bag swinging on the, not on the hubcap, but on the
grill of the radiator.
Yes.
Yes, he would.
So the car boiled over.
That's right.
You'd have that to fling in.
Oh, yes. A slow trip in those days, too, because there wouldn't have been a Princess Highway.
No, it was just like two-lane highway.
Oh, yes.
And you'd get to a place like Dimboola or Echuca, where we stayed. No motels. It was the commercial hotel, so you're going from a hot car to a stinking-hot double-storied hotel room.
Where the commercial travellers stayed, with a bathroom down the hall.
Yes, and you'd go down there and there's fellas having a shower.
Oh, yeah.
But I'd get comics and I'd sit up in bed. I loved it. They would buy me film fun and radio fun, and I'd sit up in bed in this commercial hotel about 5 years of age.
Yeah, that'd be your escape.
And that was my first night on the road.
How
was
exciting.
Film fun and radio fun.
And we're in Adelaide with this stuff.
Oh, Glenelg, we went to the beach.
Oh, nice.
Lovely memories.
You had rellies there, yeah?
Yeah, relatives. Really. Now, Allan Moffat shares many of my memories, the same sort of background, but his, I suppose, would have been Canada or America, wouldn't it, Alan?
We'd better start in Canada, please, Bruce.
Okay, Alan, let's kick it off. A young Allan Moffat's getting ready for the school holidays.
Well, my fondest memories are with my grandparents, both on my dad's and my mother's side, in Saskatchewan and Manitoba. In Canada, Phil and Bruce, the summer holidays were always about 2.5 months long, because when the snow came, nobody did anything properly. So July, August, and a bit of September, and I'm sure Mom and Dad were quite happy to get rid of both myself and my brother for that kind of a duration. But very fond memories of being particularly with my father's family, because his dad ran a agricultural business in a little town north of Saskatoon, and that's where I look back now and I think, well, that's where I learned how to first hang on to a steering wheel, was on the back of a Massey Ferguson tractor. But hot days in Canada, just like they can be hot in Melbourne on the summers. But when the snow starts coming down, well, it's 40, all right? It's 40 below.
Yeah, but we're talking summer holidays, and sounds like you're brought up on the prairies, Alan.
Well, that's it. Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba are referred to as the prairie provinces.
Yeah.
Manitoba probably a little bit hillier, but Saskatchewan's flatter than a pancake. The biggest wheat fields in North America are in Saskatchewan.
And tell me about your schoolmates and your friends. Did you go to a mixed school, boys and girls?
Yes, always.
Yeah.
I actually was threatened with private school where boys only, and I said that, well, I would run away if you were going to lock me up in a boarding school.
Yes.
That was a early win I had, but I had to be good in the process.
So living there in the Midwest, it would have been years before you saw the ocean.
Well, I can't vouch for that, Phil. I really don't. I don't know.
You know, when was the first time you saw the sea? Can you recall?
Yes. When you're born in Canada, you don't see any ocean from in the middle of Canada. You don't see the ocean from either side. But
no, that was my point. So how old were you when you were taken to the ocean for the first time?
Let me think about this now. About 12. My father was transferred to South Africa, and we went on a summer 1-week holiday down to Durban, and I can still remember being really enthralled with the way the waves came in. The lakes in Canada don't have waves, right?
How did motor racing enter your life, Allan?
A woman drove me to it.
Oh, well, do we want to go into it, or because you're being a bit...
No,
you're holding back a bit, Allan, I feel.
My first job in Melbourne worked as a marketing cadet at Volkswagen Australia when Volkswagen were making or assembling the Beetles in Clayton. And one of the secretaries had an MGA. I had bought a used TR3 sports car. And she said to me one day, Allan, would you escort me to a car club on Friday night? And I said, well, yes, what are we doing that for, Ann? Well, if we are interested in, show an interest in joining the club, we'll get a free ride around Calder when there won't be anybody else there. We just have a dribble around with a few people that get signed up on that Friday night. Being a newcomer, a new Australian with a capital N and a capital A to that sentence, I didn't know what was coming, but Friday night, Phil, was just a front for getting around 6 o'clock closing.
Oh, yes.
And I know we'll be talking to a lot of young people who won't even know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But once I woke up to the Booze Up Incorporated, we put our name down to join up to get the free ride at Calder, but we were out of there within 3/4 of an hour in a hurry, I can assure you, and I never went back. But that was the beginning. I didn't see myself as a race. Well, certainly wasn't born a race driver. But that first introduction to having a free run around Calder was really the start of my career.
Isn't that amazing how things can accidentally happen in your life and you love it? And
yes, well, and after that I've been very fortunate. Bruce, guardian angels just kept coming down out of the sky and pointing me in the right direction, and sometimes I wonder how I ever made it, because there were no driving schools in those days, and that was the other joke. Once we got to Calder for the so-called run-in, there was no one there to tell us to do anything other than there's the gate, turn left, and you drive around in a circle.
Yeah.
That was driver training in those days. But somehow or other I managed.
Yeah, you took to it like a duck to water. I had a sports car in the 60s, and that was a TR4A. It was a bumpy ride, wasn't it, Allan?
Well, English production sports car, and the only good thing about them, as long as you were going in a straight line, Phil, you knew you were half safe. But apart from that, don't expect too much.
I got rid of it eventually. I nearly killed myself, you know.
Well, I sometimes think my only luck when I was started to race it seriously was that I didn't kill myself.
Yes,
that was an advantage.
Yeah, as you said, the angels were looking after you.
They were.
Yeah.
Well, that's really lovely. We've crossed a lot of borders tonight and turned back the clock to childhood memories and holidays and to your introduction to...
But I've got one question, Bruce. Your international organization of the cruise ships in Europe, that you've got one coming up in January, or is it February?
In September.
Yeah. And booked out already, no doubt?
Well, no, Alan, and I was wondering if you'd be interested. It's a cruise ship going to Malta, to Croatia, Montevideo,
Greece.
Italy, Greece,
Oh, yeah.
Venice.
It's wonderful, Alan.
I'm prepared to carry baggage, Bruce. I can make myself helpful. I won't just be a, tag-along.
He wants a free ride.
Yeah, but where do you sleep, Alan? There are things like that. I mean, you can't...
Now you're making it difficult, mate. But, well, I wish you all the luck with. I know you're doing that on a regular basis, and you've made a huge success out of it.
Good on you, Alan. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. Always good to have an old friend along. Allan Moffat there on the holidays that made him tick in the beautiful plains of Canada.
And how he got into motor racing.
Interesting.
Fascinating.
There weren't they days you'd go out to Sandown and they'd have those almost reliability trials.
That's right.
And they'd make it to the newsreels where car racing would have to go around the witches' hats. That was one of the big things, I've hit one.
Yeah.
And that was tantamount to hitting a pedestrian, wasn't it?
It was in the days of the Red X car trials.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, these were the trials out at Sandown.
Of course. They're very primitive.
The crowd would be standing behind hay bales, scared out of their minds that they were going to be run over. There was no safety fences or mesh to protect them.
No, and you'll never believe this, but guess what I used to do every Friday night? Go to Maribyrnong Speedway to watch motorbikes roaring around the track.
No, I don't believe it.
Oh, it's the truth. I've got photos to prove.